Good morning, everyone. I am blessed today to be with the one and only Patty, formerly Garcia, now Patty Archer, recently married to wonderful Phil Archer. So congratulations, Patty. Patty,
thank you.
You are considered the networking queen of South Florida. I've known you for many years now. I've only been here for 5. I think I've known you for 5 and 2 days. Before I got here, I think I knew you. It seems like that. Patty works with, has a company called R&D Group Systems. And I'm going to go ahead and let Patty introduce herself, and then we're going to start our interview. Go ahead, Patty.
Hi, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon when you see this video. My name is Patty Archer. As she said, it's R&D Systems Grouping. We are a full business for phone systems. We also provide internet to kind of provide the whole entire package when customers actually either open their business or they are in business. And the good thing for me is I'm not tied up to a phone provider or a telecom provider or an internet provider. I'm not at all attached to one. So what I do is I hear what customers want to do, what they want to pay, and what requirements they have. And then after that, I go and search for them. So I'm like a broker. So when you're going to do the loan of your house, that's what I do, but for phone systems and internet.
You know, that's kind of what we do also. We're attached not to just First Data or Heartland or Global. We do the whole gamut. We find, so I totally understand. And that's why I have been able to use your service as a single point of, you know, a single sales rep that is out in the field. I had 2 phones, one for business and one for personal. And then I decided, geez, that's paying too much for that. And so I then had everything on one phone, and then all my people were calling me. I actually got calls at 2 a.m. Oh, wow. I was leaving a voicemail. Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, you know, the phone rings at 2 a.m. The rest of your night is done. So I was blessed to meet Patty, and we started talking, and she said, I've got a solution for you. And I have implemented that solution for the last almost 3 years now, and I've been very happy with her service. Patty is her own customer service person, which is great. But let me go ahead and ask a few differentiating questions. When people open their business, they tend to go to big box places like Comcast Business, Vonage, whom else? Maybe
Ring Central.
Ring Central, Jive, some of these companies. And what is the problem with going with those kinds of companies? I mean, so I call my Comcast Business because they're all over the TV. What am I going to get? Am I getting only Comcast information, or to be able to give me other products and services?
So this is how I explain it to my customer, because they're like, why am I going with you versus going with Comcast or whatever? So with me, actually, I can sell all of those providers. So it's not a problem. But what I tell them is, how fast do you want people to respond? How fast do you want support? Let's say your phone cuts off for some technological reason. How fast do you want things to operate? So I have different providers that are local. I always try to go local because honestly, when you need something, I have to respond as soon as I can. So as soon as I physically can, that would be, if we can't make it work in an hour or 2, I can drive down there. So I have different providers that are local providers that I can drive down there. If we sell Ring Central, Comcast, or any other big heavy, that's great, and that's what you want, we can do that. But the support is the same. So when you call Cindy, this or that. The difference between you going with them or going with me, and we're still doing the big heavy hitters, is I know what happens behind the scenes, and I can help out, still get the support. We still have some lag time about contacting them and so forth, but the only difference is I know the back doors. I have a personal contact for each and one of them, because we're what we're called a master service agreement that we do have with all providers. So that's the difference. And basically, it's the features that you want and how much you want to pay.
Can you overpay by going directly with one of those people, and with you, you can customize the package? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, with my pricing, as a master service agreement person is I'm a sales rep for them. I can't alter their pricing. So with some vendors, I can lower the pricing. So I
So
can
what
tell
I'm
you
saying,
which
if we go to like, say Comcast or something, you're still going to be subject to what they want to charge and their
correct.
fees.
Or what they want to sell you because they have a quota. I don't.
Exactly.
I'm a
Exactly.
business owner.
You know, I worked in cell phones before, and I used to have a quota, and I had to sell so many, and it got to be the point where you were selling something to someone in a package that probably, they agreed to it because it was the lowest one available, but you kept saying to yourself, man, this person just ought to go get a pay-by-minute phone, because
Definitely, I can sleep at night. That's all I got.
Yes, I agree. I sleep at night too. So, okay, so that's the main thing. You can customize a package. So if I only need a phone for myself to have on a service to have on my one phone, you can provide that. But if I am a government agency that needs certain kind of security and restrictions, do I understand your company actually does that too?
Yes, because I don't become anything different from a sales rep from Comcast, AT&T, or all these big heavy hitters. I have about 171 providers for phone systems and about 4 providers, which is basically the normal ones that you see down here with Comcast, AT, and so forth. I have the same system that they have, but I can look at it and say, I don't have to sell you a triple play, or I don't have to sell you this because I can read the contract for you. I can say, hey, you want to do 3 years, it's going to cost you this, and you'll see the pricing, but in reality, at the end, this is what you pay. Because again, I don't have a quota, I'm in for the customer, and hopefully I'm in to retain the customer for the rest of the duration of their business as well.
Right. Okay, cool. And gee, we all like that, I always believe in win-win. You know what? It's harder to get a new customer than to keep an existing. And I really appreciate it because, and then the other saying I always say is that it's not if you have a problem, how do they handle it? It's when you have a problem, because we're all going to have an issue. We're all going to call about something. And the response that you get, and I'm, again, I am your biggest fan because I use the system. When I text you, I don't care what time it is, you're always answering.
Yes.
Because you know that my business phone is my lifeline to keeping our family with groceries. Even though we're quarantined, we got groceries. We're all gaining weight here. All right. So in my opinion, somebody can go with the Comcast, Vonage, Cisco, all these people. However, it would make more sense that they consult with you to see if they can't find exactly the features they want at the price they want to pay, and then have the back office support. Am I correct on that?
That is correct, because sometimes when you go with these heavy hitters, in the fine little print, they'll tell you what they don't want to tell you in person, and then you probably won't see that rep again. With me as well, it's some people say, oh, you're a small business, what happens if something happens to your company? It doesn't matter, you're still contracted with the company, so you don't have to be afraid that if something happens to me, yes, I will always be around, or hopefully I will always be around. But the support does still come from the big company, but yet you have me in the middle from the beginning, holding your hands all the way to the end. So when you're going to sign a contract, or when you're going to get out of that contract, you know when you can get out of that contract. Because it's very important. Sometimes you want to get out of contract. There's a heavy hitter out there that, which I don't want to name the name of it. But for example, you want to get out of the contract, they charge you in the little fine print 75% of the contract. So you're not really helping yourself, not knowing what you're getting in contract for, when I will read that for you.
I mean, some people, if they're big enough, they'll probably have an attorney that might review it for them.
Yes.
Yamilet's husband, I guess, does that all the time for businesses, reviews these contracts. So let me ask you then another question. So I'm thinking about, I'm really thinking about, I hate my fees that I'm paying. I feel I'm overpaying. I don't even use half the stuff. I think, or guess what? I got charged for additional data. How did I end up using more data than I needed or something? And especially now when everybody's kind of using phones from home. And so with that being said, the first question is, I want to change, but I can't lose my numbers. I mean, these numbers have been with my business since the day I opened, and they're still with the perception, I think, that their business lines are owned by someone else. If that's the case, how do these people move to a new system?
Okay, so every phone line, in fact, is owned by a telecom communication company. So, because it has to reside somewhere. It's like where you live, you reside in that number and that zip code, and it's owned by that city. But it does not mean you can't switch. So it all depends if you have a contract. So, for example, Comcast. It's easier to get out of contract than AT&T because contract does have a little loophole that if you have a contract with a line and you have multiple lines, you can cancel all of them except one. So those are little tricks to get out of contract. And it all depends as well as what like if they're meeting their needs, because there's something called FDIC. So if they are not providing you what they need, what you need as a customer, and they're failing a couple times, there is regulations that they do have to, you can get out of that contract as well.
All right. And so you can get out of the contract, and then what would happen? How do you get the numbers? How does that work?
Okay, that's an easy step. So what it's called, it's LOA. We get the number, we get your authorization, and then we move you to another provider. And basically, almost everybody uses the same, either Verizon, or it all depends on the background of the telecom. It's just a different of company, which is the face of what your provider is. So what you do is you sign some paperwork, say, Patty, this is the number. I do a step further, which is I call the company for you to make sure that when you get out of contract, we are getting out of contract, because you can get out of contract anytime. They can come back to you and say, hey, you took the number off. By the way, this is your bill for the remainder. So you have to be very careful when you port over those numbers. You have to call your provider and say, hey, how can I get out of this? And another trick is if you call, and mostly all these companies record calls, or if you call and they say your call is being monitored for quality control, make sure you take the name, phone number, and the date of that person that tells you, yes, you can get out of contract. Because if you get out of contract, because they said, oh yeah, you don't have any contract, you can get off before this day, and you do, and they come back with a bill, you can say, oh no, your calls are being recorded, right? Yes. This name, this time, and this date, somebody told me I can get out. And that's how you can save yourself the fees, because they might regret at the end of the day to take you out of contract.
Very, very good information. I think we should be doing that for every customer service person that we speak to, actually. So what is your thought about small businesses, one or two people? Let's talk about one first. So a one person, I decided to leave this, and I'm getting laid off. I'm getting laid off, or I was laid off. I was furloughed. I don't know if I'm going back to work when this whole forced vacation is over. I'm going to start to sell, Mary Kay. I'm going to, I knit these pretty things. I'm going to put up a website, or I'm going to let my friends know on Facebook, and they'll call me and I'll be able to sell products.
Okay.
But I don't want strangers having my cell phone number.
Correct.
So talk to me about products and services, and how does that work? Is it like a number like in your house forwarded? What is it that I can have two lines on one phone? That seems
okay. So basically what many providers have, and that's one of my best providers that I do have, is you can look like a bigger company. So what that means is you have your cell phone, you have an app, and in that app you can make and receive calls. What that means is when you call in, you don't have to sound just like a ring person, like it just rings and rings and rings and doesn't get to anybody. You can put a little announcement, and instead of ringing, it can put an announcement, or when the person gets there, you can put a big announcement. So it is as low as $24.99. So I have customers asking me, oh, I don't need that or whatever. I have different providers that have different ways of doing it. And there's inexpensive ways of doing it, but for the end user, when they call in, they can hear an infomercial. They can hear, hi, my name is Patty Garcia. I do everything that a beauty provides. So instead of just hearing the normal ring or just going to voicemail, a lot of people use Google Voice. The problem with that is it's free. And sometimes when you call out, it goes to random numbers. So nobody really has your number. With these phone systems, what it does is with the application, it takes your same ID. So when they call in or they call out, it's the same number that you want people to know of.
So if you're a brand new business just setting up right now, you could probably get a new number because you haven't had the business before, and then decide what services do I need. So these services, do they have voicemail? Do they have text messaging? Do they have, you know, I saw one that said it had fax services.
Yes.
And recording, so I could record the conversation, or call forwarding, or voicemail. Tell me a basic service for someone like myself, which I know what I have, but I want to tell our listeners.
Okay, so basically, it's definitely something that happened to you. You don't want to miss your Colorado number, because
Right.
your Colorado number, everybody has it. Your lifeline to your
Yes.
past or whatever has it, because at the end of the day,
Right,
you
that's
like
my
your number.
personal line. I mean, I've had that for 22 years now.
Correct.
And I really didn't want to give it up when I moved to Florida. But if you're sitting in Florida and I'm calling you, you're like, oh, it must be one of those telemarketers from Colorado, you know. And people were saying, oh, I didn't answer because I thought it was one of those telemarketers. And so I talked to Patty and I said, hey, you know, what can I do? And
To have a local number.
she had a great solution for me.
Yeah. So what happens is that a lot of these people that are here, they're from somewhere else. They want to have a local number. So I can provide that. It's $2 to get a local number. The system itself is $25, just to give you the basic of them. But also with these providers, it depends on what you want. You want voicemail, you want to record. Also for these people that have businesses and they have different people working in different areas, do you want control of who they're calling and who's calling in? We have ways of also recording every caller ID. So who they're calling, how much time spent. Let's say Stephanie hires me to make about 18 calls a day or 20 or 50 calls a day. She wants to know that I'm not calling my neighbor and just spinning around for an hour. So she can see the consistency of calls and everything. So it can get very complicated, very detailed, or very specific, that you can search, like how many calls, what calls, and all of that is as low as $25. So it all depends. If you want a la carte, you want something simple, you want a text from your office line. A lot of people in this era like to text from the office, as well as I'm a single person, a sole proprietor of my company, and I want to text that my technician is on the way. You don't have to go to all that fancy database thing. You can just put a text that says, our technician is on your way. You have an appointment at 2 p.m. and you can text it yourself from the app, probably from the parking lot of where you're at. So all the phone systems that you have on your phone, on your office phone, you would have it at the palm of your hand with this app.
And the palm of my phone is the same phone I have with my personal cell phone. And
Yes.
how do I know which one is which?
Okay, so the difference is with the app, it also, what you have to do is log into your app. The app is intelligent enough that it goes ahead and it gives you a notification. So we have to establish those notifications that it's coming from the office. So it says office line and it has a different look and feel. Another perfect way of doing it as well is I have it that if reception is kind of weird because it's technology at the end of the day, it reaches me wherever I want. So it's called a linear hunt. So if you don't pick up after a certain time, it goes to a cell phone and it goes to an extension. So it depends on how many people have the phone system as well.
Wow. All right. So I guess just a couple of more questions here. The average, what is your company's average business size, and where do you really have a good niche?
Personally, with all the people that I know, I started selling to friends that have business, because I'm surrounded by a lot of people like me that have their businesses. So it's people that want a number, but they want more capability than just staying at the office. So it's people that are always around, always doing multiple things, and they have to pick up their phone calls. So people that can never miss calls because we're a single business owner, but yet they want the look and feel of a bigger company. So I have one line to 2 lines all the way to 50. So it all depends on how they want to manage it. But basically, I have a lot of customers that want somebody to manage their phone system. That at the drop of the call, they can say, hey, Patty, can you forward my calls here? Hey, Patty, can you do this? So I'm always on the run with doing sales, but I'm always managing the systems for them as well.
If you have to like change, like reroute a number or do something, don't you have to be at your home to do it? I mean, do you?
No, you don't. So the same capabilities that you have on your phone, you can also log in yourself and do the changes that I do. I baby my customers again. So I'm always with my iPad or with my phone or with my laptop. And I do it even from a parking lot. So you can do the same. So I teach some of my customers, and other customers are like, Patty, I just want it to work. And just whenever you can, just do the change.
You know, Ray Torres from Onset Media was on yesterday, and he said one of the most important things to do for your website is to be constantly providing updated and good content. So let me ask you about voicemail or ring calls when you're on hold or whatever. How important it is that to change it on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, or use that medium to push out innovations that your company has, new things? Do you believe in using that medium? Because there's two thoughts to that. You know, some people are like, oh my God, I've heard the same commercial. You know, did you know? But if it's relevant and it's updated, what's your opinion?
Okay, so my opinion is I do have providers that have free voiceover, which is what you are perfectly good with your voice at doing, by the way. So if you have the voice or you don't have the voice, there's ways that we can do it. But if you have the voice and you want to record it, like for example, my church, and these times we just in less than an hour or less than 30 minutes, we re-recorded something to let them know updates about the church. So when people call in, they know exactly where the business or the church stands, or words of encouragement. So those things can be changed at any time, but it all depends on the business. For Christmas, for holidays, it all depends on what you want customers to hear. I will advise that when you're having different products, change the hold, not necessarily the entrance of it, but hold. Because when you put people on hold, you want them also not to hear elevator music, because for that we go to the elevator, but you can hear products and services that you offer that maybe when they're on hold, and I put people on hold all the time so they can hear a little bit of more of what I do. Because a lot of people call me for different things. So I'll put them on hold. They're like, oh, I didn't know you're doing internet now. So it helps to do the infomercial or the shameless plug that you want to do that you weren't willing to do if you were on the phone and trying to sell them.
You know, I work with churches myself. We've been doing a lot of online giving products for churches, and you know, we finally got them to put on the TV screens text to give information. And now I've been trying to get them, since nobody is walking into the doors. Hi, good morning. This is Saint blah 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 church. Would you we'd like to let you know that even though you're not coming to church, you can reach us at this. And oh, by the way, you can give donations by texting, you know, your donation to blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, that's too pushy. And I'm like, sweetheart, if you're not getting your donations, you can't keep your doors open. I mean, that's serious. And the same thing with whatchamacallit, nonprofits. Nonprofits have the same problem right now. And we're all so afraid to kind of do those, quote, shameless plugs. But you know what? I didn't know that you did the internet side. So talk to me a little bit about the internet side.
Well, the internet side, it comes hand in hand because our product, it's what's voice over IP, which is, it requires internet. And I had a lot of new businesses, or for example, my phones weren't working properly because the internet was low or they had too many things. My background is infrastructure for cities, for government agencies, for hospitals. So it's much bigger scale than what these phones provide. But it gives me the knowledge to know that there might be an issue with the internet. If it's too low, the bandwidth, or they don't have enough, or
Oh,
something
I
needs to be
see. The
changed.
internet within the office where these like, but not someone like me that goes through either cellular or Wi-Fi, correct? My part goes through a little different. It's either the Wi-Fi but you're talking about a business where they're going to have people at desks. Their Wi-Fi is imperative when they move to voice over IP.
Yeah, their internet is, but also, for example, companies that are opening. They're brand new. I can do their phones and I can do their internet. Or they say, Patty, really, this internet is the worst, or the phones are the worst. When they say phones are the worst and I hate this company, I try to find out what the internet bandwidth is before I grab that problem. Because then again, what I'm doing is putting a band-aid and taking the problem. So I started doing from the inside out, and when I do that, I can provide them a complete package. And yet I can also search for them what is the best internet provider around them.
So a couple of questions. So these are to leave behind and for people who might have businesses that are closed right now. What would you say to look for in problematic voice over IP? What are the symptoms you said where the internet may not be the correct speed for them? What would happen? Tell me the
Okay, choppy voice, like you hear the static. That would be where it's a problem with the internet and instead of the phones. With the phones, what would be problematic would be the connection. Sometimes it's a matter of unplugging and plugging back. So we have a list of little things that they can do to see what actually is the problem. But problematic with the phones is, look at your invoice. It's as small as looking at your invoice. What are you paying every month? I have people paying $110 for a phone and a number that they can't go anywhere. And when they have to check voicemail, Stephanie, they have to go back to the office. So you're paying $110 for, I don't know what, maybe voicemail and the number, when you can be paying $25 and you can have a full system that you can be in your house. You can actually give the phone to your customer, or you can give your phone, the office phone, to your employee, and they can make and receive calls from the office. So see how flexible you are with that system that you have, or with that phone. If you're not flexible or anything, that's something to look at, because in cases of a disaster, in cases of what we are right now, that you have to work from home, or you have to work from anywhere that you're at, if you're not able to move that phone, or you're not able to receive calls and make calls, because everybody can receive calls, you can forward calls. But then when you call back, people are going to know your caller ID number.
Yeah, that is one of my big problems, is that, I was trying to call out on, let's say, another, using some, and then when they call it, when I call back the message, it's like they always have my phone. So
yes.
You were trying to do it from a landline at the office, move it forward. But when I called, I wasn't going to go to the office to make the call back.
Correct. And also, when you receive those voicemails, you want to receive them instantaneously, but maybe you're in a meeting. So why not receive them via email? Yes. And that way you can check your email. Not that you should be checking your phone while you're in a meeting. Courtesy.
Well, again, we all kind of tolerate that, because we know we're all in business. And if you've got a big blow up problem, that meeting may not be quite as important as the client that's got the problem. And so there is a mutual respect there. And last thing, again, we've got some people that may not be heading back to work when this is all over, because inevitably every company has employees that maybe are not really quite what they want. It's not going to be an automatic, you get to come back to your job, as I understand. We have a gentleman in our networking group that said he's been furloughed. Furloughed it usually means you'll be welcome back. But should they decide to get rid of that position, your furlough becomes unemployment. Yes. And so, and then many people are just been told you're no longer employed here. So those people may have to start looking now and get set up now to bring in income as quickly as they can. So I only have one phone. I can't go out and buy a new phone. I can't spend the money on all of that. I need something. Tell them how quickly and what we can do to get them set up, because you're going to be the point of just like a website they'll need, they're going to need phone system. Please explain what they need to do, and then.
At the end of the day, business owners are always looking to get their own numbers out there so they can control the numbers, especially if they let go of their employees. They control the calls that were still coming there. But if you are an owner or you want to become an owner, in less than 5 days, you can have a number up and going. So you want a 305, which are a little bit harder to get, but I haven't had any problems yet getting them. 954, whatever the numbers that you get, is less than 5 days to set up. You don't need a physical phone. If you want a physical phone, it's as low as $35 in Amazon. And what I need is just to connect the number to that. If you don't want any number at all, you have a cell phone, we download the app, which is free. In some different products, it is free, or even as low as $10 a year to get that app. Put the number and you're up and going. So you can make and receive calls from that number.
So you don't have to buy any extra like office equipment. You could be,
if you don't want to, no.
You could be remote all the time, wherever you go. I mean, right now, you know, people sometimes are a little like blinded. Oh, well, I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, right now, 30 days. We have a 30-day extension. 30 days, you're going to stay home. But after that, you have hopefully a whole life ahead of you where if the business is successful and you can get it off your feet in a certain amount of time, then you're going to need this kind of service. Well, yes. Patty, I want you to just give us, again, your name, your information, and your email. We'll be putting a business card right on the front of this as a thumbnail and posting it today. I want to thank you very much for being here and explaining your services. And for me, and this is just a good plug for Patty, there may be several companies like this out there, but no one has the heart and soul for the customer as she does. And she doesn't take a deal unless she feels she's the right fit for it. So I want you to know that. Well, go ahead and introduce, again, just give us your information.
I will. My name is Patty Archer, R&D Systems Group Inc. So what I help customers do is sound like a big business, but save like a small business. My email is pgarcia@rdsgi.com, just like my R&D Systems Group Inc., the initials. And my phone number is 786-276-3777.
Well, Patty, good luck. Stay safe and go enjoy. I guess your husband is a police officer.
Yes, it is.
Tell him thank you for us, because we know it's not easy right now. And it's his day off, so you go enjoy the rest of the day with your family, okay?
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Bye now.
Bye-bye.